I received a question about making details in Zbrush and it not working exactly how you want. So I'm going to show you something that may help. I have, let's use this head from the default projects here. So if you look at it, let's say this is your head, there's no eyes, there's no eyelids. That's probably the situation you are right now. And once you start sculpting, you know, you kind of get these edges that are not quite working for you in here. If you turn on the line fill, you can see how the edges are going on every direction here, because this was done with dynamic topology, I think. What we can do is use Zremesher. But before you do that, I recommend you copy your model. So if you go to Subtool here, you have your model and duplicate it, just in case something were to happen. You don't want to risk it to ruin your original, or I guess you could save and version up. But I'm going to just turn off the other one and just get rid of that line I made. I guess it's kind of late now. I can do it on the other one, so let me delete this one and go back on this one. So it's just my starting point here. So I'm going to duplicate it now, and I'm gonna turn off the other one, make sure I have the right one selected. The eye, as we have been talking about, we usually want to start from big to small. So first we're gonna add the mask just with the regular standard brush. Will be fine here. So I'm just gonna add the mask that I think is gonna be the eyeball, and then we're gonna smooth it out here. So it's pretty big, so let's say that's good. I'm gonna just smooth the heck out of it. So I'm gonna hold on shift, smooth, smooth, smooth. I kind of get something rounder and smoother looking. And I'm looking at here while I smooth here. So let's say that's good. So first the mask. Obviously this is cartoony proportion, so it's gonna look a little different. Then we can start adding big to small details. So let's say we add the eyelids with the clay brush. So I'm gonna hit B for brush, C for clay, and L for clay. So I'm gonna make the brush smaller. Let's say I want my eyelid here and here, right? So I'm still getting those polygons, right? The edge of it is kind of jagged. So you can try Zremesher. Let's undo that last stroke here, and go to geometry. So if you open geometry, if you Zremesher will try to orient the polygons the right directions. It's not magical, it's not gonna solve every problem for you, but we'll try it just as is to see what it does. We're gonna tell it to keep the same number of polygons and do Zremesher. Let's look at it one more time before we do it. So this is how the polygons are oriented. You know, Zremesher will try to do orient the polygons the right way and kind of made them all quads. So you can see it thinking at the top here. We'll give it a second for it to work. Oh, I think it got stuck. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it did a fairly decent job. You know, the nail special, you can tell it did fix it, but it did not fix our eye problem, right? So the eyes are not, you wouldn't be able to do a line here. I guess if you still divide it enough, you would have millions and millions of polygons. So we don't want to do that. So I'm going to undo, and we're gonna give Zremesher a clue of how to direct the polygons. So how do you do that? With polygroups. So if you mask first, let's say I'm gonna mask the shape of the eye here. So I'm gonna hold Control, and we'll say the eyes will be something like this. So I'm gonna mask it like this. Okay, let's say that's gonna be the eyes. And we could get fancy here, make the edges sharper, and well, we'll just leave it like this for now. This is close enough. If you now go to polygroups, you can create a group of polygons from the mask. It says group mask right here. So now it's made a group out of those polygons. The edge is still jagged, but this will help us in a minute. So I'm gonna turn line fill. You can see there's two color groups here. the red and the light purple. So I'm going to close polygroups and then go back to Zremesher. See where's Zremesher here under geometry, Zremesher, but this time we're going to tell it to keep the groups we just created. So let me turn off this and get rid of the mask. We're going to tell it to keep the groups. You can add more polygons, so you can say double the polygons or increase this slider here or the ones on the bottom. I'm just gonna keep it the same and I'm gonna see what it does. So see if it helps me with sculpting. So I'm gonna see Zremesher. It's gonna think for a minute. It might take a little longer than the regular Zremesher, but it shouldn't be that much of a difference. Okay, so now I can actually already see the polygons going that way, right? So if I turn on the polyline, you can see my polygons are going the way I want them to go. So let's turn off the polyline here, the polyfill, and if we smooth a bit, you know, we can, if we divide, you know, we know we're gonna have the polygons oriented the right way now. So if I try to sculpt, I'm gonna get a cleaner edge. So I'm gonna go brush, clay, and then do the eyelid here. You know, now I'm getting the polygons going the right way. It's not trying to guess, right? So I can build up the eyelids here, maybe smooth out the edges. So I'm gonna hold shift, smooth out. Smooth out. Then you could come with the pinch brush afterwards. Let's say brush, pinch, and it's eye, and you can pinch the edges here of the eyelid, or you can use the damp standard. So I'm gonna hit brush, damp, first damp standard is S. So now I can go. Remember the damp standard usually does creases. This time I'm gonna do a little edge. So I'm gonna hold down Alt to reverse it and, you know, make my edge here. Okay, so now I can just smooth the other side. Let me make the brush smaller. Smooth, holding shift. You know, and there's my, oh, I kind of messed up here at the end. I gotta redo that a little better. So standard, Alt, there you go. Okay, so always work big to small. I hope this helps. You know, this is the same way we do remeshing or retopologizing. Instead of doing it by hand, remodeling everything, we just orient the polygons the right way using Zremesher, giving it clues with polygroups, and this might help you.